All right, let's just get into it. Looks matter. I'm not going to sit here and pretend they don't, because that's a lie. And honestly, it's kind of an insulting lie to tell people. If you look good, doors open. That's just true. I work out, I dress with some effort, I care about how I look walking out the door. I'm not above any of that. So no, this isn't one of those, actually looks don't matter. It's all personality videos. That's cap, and you know it's cap. But here's the thing, nobody wants to hear. Looks get you noticed. They don't get you chosen. Those are two completely different jobs, and people keep treating them like the same job. Let me explain what I mean, because I think this is the part everyone skips. Looks are like an ad. A good ad gets you to click. It does not make you buy the product twice. It does not make you tell your friends about it. It does not make you loyal. It just gets the click. And a shocking number of guys are out here spending 100% of their energy on the ad and 0% on the actual product. I have a friend from high school. I won't use his real name, let's call him Marcus. And Marcus is on paper built different. Jawline, frame, the whole nine. And I remember specifically being like 19, watching him walk into parties, and just being in awe, like dude is gonna have the easiest life of anyone I know. Fast forward 6, 7 years, and Marcus is one of the most lonely people I know. Not lonely like he's single, lonely like he doesn't really have anyone. He gets attention constantly, and none of it sticks, because the second people talk to him for more than 4 minutes, they realize there's nothing behind it. And I don't say that to be mean. I say that because it scared me. It genuinely scared me. Because I realized the thing we were all chasing, the look, doesn't come with a personality installed. It's not a package deal. You have to build that part separately, and most guys just don't. They assume it comes free with the abs. And then you've got the opposite guy. Everyone's got one of these in their life too. The guy who is not winning any beauty contests, not tall, kind of a weird walk, honestly. But somehow every single person in the room wants to be near him. My cousin is like this. Objectively, and I've told him this to his face, he is a medium-looking dude. Doesn't matter. He'll walk into a wedding where he knows nobody, and by the end of the night he's got 6 phone numbers, and the DJ knows his name. It's not a trick. It's not a line he uses. It's that he's actually there. He's locked in on whoever he's talking to, like they're the only interesting person at the party. And people can feel that from a mile away, because almost nobody else does it. So this is the actual argument of the video. Looksmaxxing has a ceiling, and most people never even get close to hitting it, before they should have pivoted to working on the other half. Now let's talk about why just work on your personality, bro, is genuinely useless advice. Because I don't want to be one of those guys who says that and moves on like it's simple. It's not simple. You can't just decide to be funnier. You can't will charisma into existence by wanting it badly enough. I know that from experience, because there was a solid year of my life where I tried to force it. I'd walk into a room and basically perform a version of confident guy I'd seen in a movie, and it was so obviously fake that it made things worse, not better. People can smell a performance. What they can't smell, or rather what actually works, is presence. Just being where your feet are. Let me give you the clearest example I've got. A couple months back, I went camping with a group of people. Some I knew well, some total strangers. First night, I was just tired from the drive, not overthinking anything, just existing. And somehow I had the best conversations of the whole trip that night. I wasn't trying to be interesting. I was just answering things honestly and asking whatever popped into my head. Second night, I specifically remember thinking, okay, I had a great time last night. Let's do that again. And the second I had that thought, it was over. I was in my head the entire night. Every sentence I said, I was grading it as I said it. Nobody clocked it outwardly, probably, but I felt like a robot. Same people, same fire, same setting. Completely different experience, because the only variable that changed was whether I was actually in the moment or narrating myself from the outside. That's the whole thing. That's the entire secret that gets dressed up as charisma, or riz, or whatever term is trending this month. It's not a personality trait some people are born with and some aren't. It's a state you drop into, and the number one thing that kicks you out of it is self-monitoring. The second you start asking, how am I coming across right now? You've already left the moment, and everyone can tell. Because now you're half a beat behind the conversation instead of in it. And I'm not saying this is easy to just switch on. Believe me, I still get stuck in my head all the time. What actually helps me, when I notice I'm spiraling into that overthinking mode, is something dumb and simple. I just pick one physical thing near me and actually look at it. Not glance at it. Actually study it for a solid 30 seconds. The grain in a wood table, the stitching on my jacket. Doesn't matter what it is. It sounds like nothing, but it yanks your brain out of the how am I being perceived spiral and back into your actual senses. And once you're back in your senses, you're back in the room. Try it before you write it off. It's weirdly effective. Think about literally any skill where people talk about being in the zone. An athlete having the game of their life. A musician who just locks into a solo. A comedian who's riffing off the crowd instead of running a memorized bit. None of those people are thinking harder than everyone else in that moment. They're thinking less. They've gotten out of their own way. That's the actual mechanism behind what looks like natural talent half the time. Not always. Some of it is pure practice and repetition. I'm not saying skill doesn't matter, but the access point to performing at your best, in almost anything, runs through presence, not through more analysis. Okay, so let's bring this back to the dating angle for a second, because I know that's why a lot of you clicked on this. Here's something I've noticed that I think guys get backwards constantly. They assume women evaluate attraction the exact same way men do, which is, hot is hot. End of discussion. And look, looks obviously matter to women too. I'm not saying otherwise. But the equation isn't identical, and I think dating apps are actually the thing that expose this the hardest. When a woman can open an app and see 100 well-put-together guys in one scroll, being good-looking stops being rare. It stops being the differentiator, because the differentiator has to be something that 100 guys in a row don't have. And what 100 good-looking guys in a row usually don't have in common is an actual interesting internal life. So ironically, the more looksmaxxed the average guy gets, the less looks alone can do for you. Because you're not being compared to the average guy from 10 years ago anymore. You're being compared to guys who also spent 4 years in the gym. I had a genuinely humbling moment about this. I was seeing someone for a bit, it ended, whatever, normal stuff. Ran into her a few weeks later, and she's with someone new who, and I mean this literally, dressed almost identically to how I dress. Similar haircut. I remember standing there like, damn. Okay. So it clearly wasn't the aesthetic package that was the deciding factor here, because apparently that part's replaceable. That stuck with me more than I want to admit. So if the look is replaceable, what isn't? Your actual self is what isn't. Your specific interests, your specific opinions, the stuff you're building that has nothing to do with impressing anybody. That's the part that can't be duplicated by finding a guy with a similar jawline. And this connects to something else I think is underrated. The guys who seem the most attractive long-term are almost never the guys chasing attraction directly. They're guys who are just locked into their own thing, a project, a sport, a weird hobby, a business idea, whatever. And the attractiveness is basically a side effect of them being a whole person with their own gravity. The second you're building something because you actually care about it, you stop being quite so afraid of losing any one person's approval. Because your sense of self isn't hanging entirely off whether they text back. And ironically, that's the exact energy that makes people want to stick around. Neediness is the fastest way to kill interest, in dating or friendships or anything else. And neediness comes from not having your own stuff going on. So here's what I'd actually tell somebody starting from zero. Yeah, take care of yourself physically. Get in the gym, dress like you tried, sleep enough, all of it. That stuff isn't fake. It's just not the whole assignment. Then, separately, actually go find something that's yours. Not a hobby you tell people about at parties to sound interesting. An actual thing you do, even if nobody ever found out about it. And then work on catching yourself when you drift into your head during a conversation. And just come back. Look at something real in front of you. Answer the actual question instead of the performance of the question. It's not glamorous advice. It's not a 5-step system. But it's the only version of this I've found that actually holds up outside of a bar at 1 a.m. Anyway, that's the video. Looksmaxxing isn't enough. It was never supposed to be the whole plan. It was supposed to be one piece of a much bigger one. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.